guys, my name is Ro and welcome back to my channel. Today, as per the title, I'm going to be giving you guys a wrap up of every movie that I watched in July. So in the month of July, I watched 29 movies and I watched 2 shows, I believe. With shows, I'm only just starting to log what I've been watching, so this month is a little bit inaccurate, but I'll talk to you about the shows because obviously there's only 2. I rewatched all of Friends because I can't just watch one episode. It's one of those things where with friends, I'll put an episode on and I think, oh yeah, I'll just watch this just to pass the time. And then I kind of get sucked in and I end up watching all of the episodes.
Love. L-O-V-E, love. L is for life. And what is life without love?
Oh my God, are we supposed to answer?
O is for, oh wow. The V is for this very surprising turn of events, which I am still fine with, by the way. E.
And the other show that I've been watching in July going into August is Smallville. This is a rewatch for me. I've watched this show all the way through only one time, but I have rewatched, I think the first 4 or 5 seasons when they came out, I have rewatched them a couple of times. So last year I watched all the seasons back to back and it was so much fun and I enjoyed it so much that I decided that it was time. I'm actually really bad at watching TV series. I tend to rewatch shows a lot. Like I won't watch anything new and I need to start getting out of that habit and watching new things because I have lists and lists of things going on all my online streaming services. So I need to stop doing that. Okay, so now going through all the films that I watched in July, I'm using my Letterboxd account to go through these because I like to log the date and give a bit of a review on there. So I've got the entire list and it's easy for me to get it from there. Okay, so the first movie that I watched in the month of July is Fear Street Part 1, 1994. I really liked this. I think that I went in knowing that I was going to like it. Maybe I was being a little bit biased because I grew up reading the Fear Street books. When I had heard that this series was becoming a movie, I was really excited. So the Fear Street books are really aimed for like 12 to 15-year-olds, I'm going to say. So I didn't really know what I was going to be expecting from these movies, but I was pleasantly surprised. I knew that from reading some articles that R.L. Stine said that these were going to be a little bit more R-rated than his series because his series was for pre-teens or like mid-teens. I was really excited for that and it did not disappoint me. I want to do a more in-depth sort of breakdown and review and ranking of all the Fear Street movies, so I don't want to go too much into detail, but I really liked this. I didn't love it as much as I liked the other ones, which I will be talking about because I watched all of them this month, but I really did enjoy this movie. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd, and if you guys want to check out all my reviews from all these movies that I'm going to be talking about, they're all on there. So the next film that I watched in the month of July is Back to the Future. This is just a classic and this is my favorite movie of all time. So I tend to watch this a lot and very regularly. So you'll probably see this on my list a few times in the future. On the 4th of July, I watched Till Death starring Megan Fox. This is a cat and mouse type of film. I don't want to give too much of a spoiler. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun and I think you guys would enjoy it if you like thriller films. I think Megan Fox does such a good job in this movie. She's so good in this. I didn't really like her acting in that first part of the movie leading up to the cabin, but once they get to the cabin, her acting is phenomenal. I think that she's so good in this. So to give you a quick kind of premise of the movie, she basically wakes up handcuffed to a dead body. That's all I'm going to give you, but definitely give it a watch. I gave Till Death 4 out of 5 stars. On the 4th of July, same day, I watched Romeo and Juliet, the Baz Luhrmann movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. I hadn't seen this for the longest time. It had been years since I last saw it, and I think that when I did watch it, I was too young to actually understand what was going on because this film is made with the Shakespeare language. I found it really difficult to follow as a kid. So as an adult, I really enjoyed it. I loved it actually, and I think it is so well made. It's such a good movie, and I think that Claire Danes and Leonardo DiCaprio have such good chemistry. And honestly, I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio always has really good chemistry with all his on-screen love interests, and I think that just goes to show he's a fantastic actor. And honestly, like, this broke my heart and I cried, and I knew what was going to happen, obviously, because everybody knows the story of Romeo and Juliet, but this movie is just so good, and I gave Romeo and Juliet 4 out of 5 stars. On the 7th of July, I watched Starship Troopers. It had been ages since I watched this as well, and it's really cheesy, but I think it's supposed to be cheesy, so I didn't mind that at all. It was kind of a fun movie to watch, but I didn't love it as much as I did when I was younger. I gave it a 3 out of 5. I still found it really entertaining. Okay, so I haven't really been talking about like the plot to a lot of these movies that I've just mentioned, because I want to kind of give you guys a rundown of what I've watched and then give you recommendations at the very end. I think that makes more sense to me. So on the 8th of July, I watched Better Watch Out. This one was a surprise. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, and listen, it was a shock to my system, okay? I did not expect what I got. It had a feel of like Home Alone, but it's like crazy. It's a thriller / horror, and it's just, it starts off as a home invasion movie, and then it gets really interesting, and that's all I'm going to say because I don't want to spoil it, but this is definitely one of those that I recommend. On the 9th of July, I watched Fear Street Part 2, 1978. This one, by far my favorite. I absolutely loved this one. I think the reason I really loved it is because it reminded me of like the Friday the 13th films, and I am a sucker for those. Again, I'm not going to go too much into detail because I do want to do a full video review of all 3 films, so I'm going to continue, but I really liked this one and I gave it a 5 out of 5. So on the 10th of July, I watched Black Widow. This was awesome. I loved it. And actually, I really liked David Harbour. He is so funny. He actually made this movie like 10,000 times better just because he's hilarious. I really enjoyed his character in this. I definitely recommend Black Widow. I think it is a great watch. On the 11th of July, I watched Mayhem. I won't lie, I really wanted to watch this because I love Samara Weaving, and I want to see every movie she's in because she is a fantastic actress, and I think that she deserves more recognition. So if you don't know who she is, you need to kind of look her up. Samara Weaving is in 2 movies that I really enjoyed, Ready or Not and The Babysitter, and in this she's just so good and such a badass. She's always a badass and I love her. I gave Mayhem 3.5 stars out of 5. This was a really interesting one. It is a horror action, I believe, but I wasn't scared. It's not a scary horror, it's more of a gory horror. Basically, this building gets locked down with a bunch of people inside it because there is some sort of virus, and people go a bit nuts, hence why it's called Mayhem. But I definitely think it's worth a watch. It's really entertaining. On the 12th of July, I watched the one I love. This stars Elizabeth Moss and Mark Duplass. This was really interesting. I didn't know what to expect from this. I had a couple of people recommend this movie to me, and it was very surprising. It was very unique. I hadn't seen this kind of concept in a film before. It was really interesting. I definitely recommend it because I think it is such a weird and interesting premise, and it kind of reminded me of like a Twilight Zone episode. I definitely think that you guys should check it out if you like Twilight Zone. I don't want to give too much away. It was really good. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. On the 13th of July, I watched Misery. This is a 4 out of 5 star for me, maybe even a 4.5. I couldn't make up my mind. It is such a smart movie, so good. And Kathy Bates is just, she is such an incredible actress. One of my favorites, deserves to win all the Oscars in the world because I think she's just so good. And I know I'm late. I know that this has been out since the 90s and it's taken me this long to watch it. I won't lie, I remember seeing a scene when I was younger, and I don't want to give too much away. I'm just going to say broken legs. And that kind of scarred me a little bit and I didn't want to watch it. But honestly, it was such a good film and I definitely think you should watch it if you like Stephen King. I was about to say Spielberg. I keep doing that to myself. On the 15th of July, I decided to watch A Little Princess. I hadn't seen this since I was a kid, and oh my God, it's still so beautiful and heartbreaking. If you haven't seen A Little Princess, I definitely think you should watch it. It's basically a story about this girl and her father who live in India, and he gets sent off to go to war. So he decides to put her in a boarding school that's for rich girls, and then he goes missing, and headmistress decides that because she's poor, she can't attend the school anymore, and because she has nowhere to go, she becomes a servant girl, and she befriends this other girl who's a servant, and it's just such a beautiful story, and I cried, and I gave it 5 out of 5. So due to nostalgia, because I watched A Little Princess, I decided to watch The Secret Garden. Both of these are based on books by the same author. This is another movie that I watched when I was young, and I loved it so much when I was young, but this one actually I didn't love as much as A Little Princess. I think that the characters are just a little bit too unlikable for me. I just didn't really like the protagonist. I thought she was kind of stuck up, and I understand that that's how she's supposed to be because she's rich, and you know, in this world all the rich people are really stuck up. I love Maggie Smith, she's in this, so she's always great in everything that she's in. And yeah, basically this story is about a girl whose parents die in an earthquake, and then she gets sent to live with her uncle, and she finds this garden, a secret garden, and then her and her cousin kind of explore it, and that's basically the story. Again, it is really beautiful, but I just didn't enjoy this as much, so I gave The Secret Garden 3 out of 5 stars. On the 16th of July, I watched Fear Street Part 3, 1666. I knew I would like it because I really loved 78. Still gave this one a 5 out of 5. So on the 16th of July, I watched Hellfest. This one was so much fun. I loved it. I will definitely be watching it again, especially during Halloween. So the basic story is that a bunch of teenagers go to this festival that's done every Halloween, where it's like over the top and there's people that jump out and scare you, and you know, those kind of like haunted attractions. And they basically start getting killed off one by one. And honestly, it's a concept that I've kind of thought about in the past, where I've always thought, you know, on Halloween, people are in costumes, so you can't really see who the person is underneath, and anybody could get away with anything, and that's something that's scary to me. And I know they've done it with Halloween, but for this one, I had always thought it would be cool to do it at a haunted attraction, which is exactly what this is. So I really enjoyed this. I thought it was really fun and scary. I did find it scary. I was creeped out, and it gave me very much like 90s slasher vibes, which I love. I gave this one 3.5 stars out of 5. On the 17th of July, I decided to watch another movie that had to do with a attraction because I loved Hellfest so much that I decided to watch Haunt. This is another one that's very similar. So a bunch of teenage friends find this haunted attraction in the middle of nowhere and decide to go in, and things get really creepy, and the people that are running this are really scary. Like, I was uncomfortable. I was on the edge of my seat. I kind of wanted the movie to be over. I won't lie, I hardly get scared anymore, but this one actually had me freaking out. And I kept saying to myself, I am probably never going to watch this movie again because it's just too much. But I'm definitely going to watch this during Halloween season. This is an awesome Halloween movie. You should definitely check it out if you aren't too squeamish. It is pretty gory, but I really like this one, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5. On the same day, I watched Risky Business. I gave this one 3 out of 5. This was a movie that I really enjoyed the first time I watched it, but this time around, I found it slow, and I don't know, I didn't love it as much. Maybe I wasn't in the mood, but it is a classic. So if you like Tom Cruise and you like 80s cheesy teen comedies, definitely give it a watch. It is a good watch. I just don't think it's as fantastic as I used to think when I first watched it. On the 18th of July, I watched Frantic. I only gave this one 2.5 stars. I love Harrison Ford. I will watch anything that he's in. Yeah, I didn't really love this one. It was too slow, and I just kind of lost interest, and it was just, it wasn't for me. On the 19th of July, I watched Revenge. This is a movie that's on Shudder. It was really overhyped. I had heard a lot of people say they loved it, so I went in with high expectations, and it was just okay. Honestly, I think I got a little bit over halfway, and I didn't finish it. It probably did get better and got more gory or whatever near the end, but I just had no interest in finishing it. A lot of people were talking about how powerful this movie is and all this stuff, but I don't know, like I've seen this done before and I've seen it done better. I didn't love it. It wasn't my favorite female revenge movie, so I mean, you can watch it if you want, make up your own mind. A lot of people did like it. It just wasn't for me. On the 20th of July, I watched Hell House LLC. This is a found footage film about a haunted house attraction again. I really felt like watching another one of these, so I sought this one out and I actually really enjoyed this. It's one of the better found footage films that I've seen. Nothing was really that original about it though, so it didn't really stand out for me. Would I rewatch it? Maybe, if it was on TV or if somebody else wanted to watch it with me, but I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it again. It was good, but it wasn't my favorite. I gave this one 3 out of 5 stars. On the 21st of July, I watched 47 Meters Down Uncaged. This was one that I went in with low expectations because I had heard it, obviously it wasn't as good as the first one. So I went in with just knowing it was going to be some fun, cheesy shark movie, and it was. It was really fun and cheesy. Some of the scenes were so stupid, some of the acting wasn't very good, and some of the CGI was just a bit much. But in saying that, I really enjoyed myself and I actually liked how it ended, so that was a plus for me. I thought that the last 15 minutes were just ridiculous, but honestly the ridiculousness just made it fun. If you want something that's a bit silly, that's a bit far-fetched, but that's entertaining, I think that you should give it a go. So on the 22nd of July, I watched The Unholy. I watched this one with my mum. I think that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is great in this. He's always good, so, you know, I wasn't really expecting anything bad coming from him. I think that the story had promise. I think that the idea of the story was really good, but the execution just wasn't done well. I gave this one 1.5 stars. You can watch it, but just don't expect too much from it. On the 23rd of July, I watched Monster Party. I think that if this was executed better with better actors, I think that it could have worked, but yeah, no, I gave this one 2.5 stars. I did actually get through the whole movie because I just wanted to know where the hell it was going. It was kind of like a mix to me between Ready or Not and Don't Breathe, but it was rushed and I feel like it just wasn't that good. So this is about a guy whose dad owes money to some mob guys and he decides to rob this mansion where his friend is working. So him and his 2 friends pose as waiters so they can steal from this family, and they don't realize that they walked into a party that is, I don't want to give it away. The people in there are a bit crazy and stuff starts to happen and it happens very fast. The premise was really smart, but okay, so I'm going to talk about the next 2 films together. They were both watched on the same night and I didn't finish either of them. They were so bad. Deep Blue Sea 2 and Deep Blue Sea 3. I had heard that the second one was not good, so I went in with really low expectations. I got about halfway through the movie, which is a lot for how bad it is. The acting is horrendous. Like, I can't even explain to you how bad the acting is. I don't even know how I got through that much of the movie. I don't know how people have actually watched the whole thing. But anyway, I got halfway and I just couldn't do it. So I decided to watch the third one and got about halfway through, and honestly there had been like maybe 10 minutes of shark footage and I was about an hour in. So I wasn't having it. I mean, the whole point of watching Deep Blue Sea is to watch a shark kill people. Just a whole bunch of backstory that I didn't care about. I didn't like any of the characters, and so I just gave up and stopped this one an hour in. Again, I'm sure all the action scenes were at the end with the shark, but it was just stupid. I think it's in the second one, but there's a literal scene where a shark is eavesdropping. I'm not joking.
I will simply kill them. All of them, so don't worry about the liability.
It's like the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I probably should have stopped it there, but for some reason I kept going. I gave Deep Blue Sea 0.5 star and I gave Deep Blue Sea 3 1 star, mainly because the actors were decent in the third one, but both movies just pass. I love the first movie and these 2 were just On the 25th of July, I watched The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. I actually really liked this. I don't understand all the hate. I know that it's not like the first two movies, and honestly, that's what I wanted. I don't want a repeat of the same movie over and over again. I loved the first two movies a lot more than this one, obviously, but I enjoyed this. I thought it was good. And Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson are always top notch for me. They're such great actors and they make these movies what they are. So 100% most of the love goes to them for this, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie. I didn't compare it to the first two, and I think that's why I went in knowing it was going to be different and not having too high of expectations, which might be why I really enjoyed it. I don't want to give you guys the plot because I just don't want to give anything away, but if you guys haven't seen the trailer, maybe go watch it. But anyways, I really enjoyed this and I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5. On the 28th of July, I watched Stephen King's Thinner. You guys, what is going on? I don't understand why on Letterboxd this has really high ratings, because the acting is so bad. So bad. It's just cringe. And the whole movie is cringe. I don't get it. I really don't. I just think this movie was just so bad. I gave this movie half a star. I don't know how it's got higher than 1 star, honestly, but each to their own. So on the 29th of July, I watched The Thing, the 1982 version with Kurt Russell. I really enjoyed this one. I made the mistake of eating as that scene with the dogs happened in the kennel. I didn't expect that to happen. And you guys, if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Not a good idea. I loved this. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. The storyline was great. The effects were great for the time. And I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. So on the 30th of July, I watched The Thing, the 2011 version. This one didn't really scare me. The first one did have a lot of bits that scared the crap out of me, but this one didn't. I actually think that the effects in the 80s one was better than the one in this one. It's really disappointing because I love Joel Edgerton and I love Mary Elizabeth Weinstein. They're great actors. They both did really good in the movie. I just didn't like this. I thought the CGI was horrible and I won't be watching it again. I gave this one 2 stars out of 5. So that is it for all the films that I've watched in July. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So out of all the films that I've mentioned, I'm going to read off the movies that I think that you guys should watch that I recommend. So I recommend Fear Street 1994, 1978 and 1666. I think they're all great. I recommend Back to the Future because it's the best. Till Death, Better Watch Out, Black Widow, The One I Love, Misery, A Little Princess, Hellfest Haunt, The Conjuring 3, and The Original Thing. So I think all in all, this month was pretty successful. I think I had a really good movie month and I liked most of the movies that I watched this month, so that's a good thing. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope there are some films here that you watched because of my recommendations. Please let me know what you think about them down in the comments below. Please like my video and subscribe to my channel and I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.